Good afternoon or good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the HERE Commission to order at 6:32 p.m. We'll start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance that's going to be led by Commissioner Khan.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioner Khan. Adrian, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Borja?
Here.
Commissioner Branhag?
Here.
Commissioner Fitzsimmons? Commissioner Herrera?
Present.
Commissioner Khan?
Present.
Vice Chair Godo?
Here.
And Chair Jennings-Nunez?
Here. Thank you. We'll now have some announcements from our staff liaison, Matthew Morales-Stevens.
Tonight's meeting is live streamed on Cable Channel 3 and our online platforms. If you wish to address the HERE Commission during tonight's meeting, we request that you please complete a speaker's card and hand it to the clerk, Adrienne Franquez. When speaking, please state your name for the record. If you wish to be added to the distribution list to receive HERE Commission agendas, please email your request to herecommission@sgch.org.
Thank you. We'll now move on to agenda item number 1, which is approval of our agenda order. Are there any objections to the agenda order? Hearing none, the agenda order is approved. We always skip a number 2, but so we move on to public comment. This is the time set aside for members of the public to address the HERE Commission on items of interest that are not on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the HERE Commission. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the HERE Commission cannot answer any questions or take any action until such time as the matter may appear as an item on a future agenda. If you wish to address the HERE Commission, please fill out a speaker's card and hand it to the clerk. Or Matthew, would you please read any comments? Do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Thank you. So moving on to approval of the minutes. Do we have any public comments on this?
We do not.
Thank you. So if we don't have any comments, then we'll go on to say the time for public comment on this item is now closed. Is there a motion to approve our minutes from the May 24th meeting?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the May 24th meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Borja. And a second? And a second from Commissioner Khan. Adrian, would you please take the vote?
Commissioner Borja?
Aye.
Commissioner Branhag?
Do I just approve it if I wasn't here, or? Sure, aye.
Yes, because you would still have the ability to review the minutes for accuracy.
Commissioner Fitzsimmons is absent. Commissioner Herrera?
Aye.
Commissioner Khan?
Aye.
Vice Chair Godo?
Aye.
And Chair Jennings-Nunez?
Aye. And I think your mic is not working. Oh, maybe it wasn't.
So motion passed by a vote of 6 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent.
Thank you. So now we'll go on to agenda item number 4, the meat of our meeting tonight. These are our discussion items. And 4A is discussion of our approved 2022 annual work plan. So tonight we're going to continue to discuss our approved items from the 2022 work plan, with the primary focus being on item 2A, which is developing and implementing programs and events, and specifically the San Gabriel Mental Health Expo, and also item 2C, which is our guest speakers. Matthew, do we have any public comments on this discussion item?
We do not.
Thank you. So since there are no public comments, the time for public comment on this item is now closed. Matthew, if you could give us some updates, and then we'll start our discussion.
Sure. So our contact Nora with the Department of Mental Health was super eager to make the presentation, and she will be here in July for the July meeting. And then we have The city clerk's office is working to get that presentation for August, as we discussed. And then all of the other contacts, or excuse me, the other potential presenters that we've discussed at the last meeting have been contacted either via email or phone. I'm just waiting to hear back. So I'll follow up again to see how we can get those plugged in. So my apologies for not getting one for this month, for Pride Month. But as you can imagine, it's a busy month for the speaking engagements, and hopefully next year we can catch them a bit earlier. And now that we know they're very in demand this month, even more than I anticipated, I'll reach out to them far in advance to get that taken care of.
Thank you, Matthew. And just a question, are we able to help you by contacting a speaker or following up with a speaker? Or is that something that needs to go through the city staff?
Yeah, if you have a speaker in mind that you already have the contact for, Commissioner Brenha has been doing a fantastic job for the Mental Health Expo of making those contacts and then just CCing me on those. And then I can always follow up with it. If you want to make the contact, and then I can follow up with the nitty-gritty details that are the not-so-fun part, that would be extremely helpful as well.
So for the ones if you have someone for July and likely for August, and for whomever we're thinking about for those other months, I don't know if you would like to assign it or put it out there and we can claim it or whatever. I think that hopefully will be helpful for you.
That would be extremely helpful. Okay. I'll send that out. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions for Matthew or comments concerning guest speakers? Great. So we'll move on to another item, which is our Mental Health Expo. And Commissioner Brenhag, Commissioner Khan, and Commissioner Borja have taken the lead on this event. So I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Brenhag to kind of lead this discussion.
All right, thank you, Chair Jennings-Nunez. So we have been meeting, Commissioners Khan, Borja, and I have been meeting weekly to discuss the planning for this event. I don't know, I feel very excited about it. We're hoping that it can be something that's very engaging and can bring in, quite a few people. So where we are right now is we are set for the date of Sunday, September 18th. And I did email Matthew about the possibility of not just doing it in the Grapevine Arbor Park, but also having some things that are out in the playhouse, front of the playhouse area. Do you think that that's possible?
Yes, my apologies for not
Okay.
Following up on that. I did reach out to the Playhouse, and as of right now, there's nothing
Okay.
scheduled. So I need to connect with Rebecca and the Playhouse manager just to see if we can just set that aside for that. So as of right now, it's open and available, but I just need to see if we can just keep it that way moving forward.
Okay.
So typically the plaza isn't as much of an issue, but if there were to be an event, of course, that would be a conflict with that. So. But I think that was the only space that you were looking for, correct? Was the plaza area?
I was thinking that, what do the other commissioners think? I was just thinking it would be a little more helpful to be slightly more public than in the Grapevine Arbor, because it's kind of,
Secluded.
set back and you can't really see it from the outside. So having at least some tables and booths set out in the Playhouse plaza area can draw more attention to people coming in. We went to the Thanks USA event on Saturday, and it was in the parking lot, right?
Mhm.
The Playhouse parking lot. And I was thinking not to do that because it takes up all the parking spaces. So just allowing for that parking still to be available, but still being pretty, on display for people to see would be a good idea.
I like that.
You like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I like that. I think that's instead of being hidden, we have some tables out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, great idea. I'm all for that. Yeah, visibility.
Commissioner Brown, you weren't, I think Matthew was also asking about use of anything inside the Playhouse. We're not thinking of having the keynote speaker inside the Playhouse, so we're going to kind of draw them in by having things in front of the fountain and the plaza, and then all of the breakout sessions and rooms will be within the Grapevine Arbor and the Padilla room and those
I don't
rooms?
even know which rooms are available, Matthew. So I
Sure.
think you're
Yes.
gonna have to let us know
Yeah,
more
of
about
course.
that.
So the Grapevine Arbor, or the Adult Recreation Center itself, has 2 rooms,
Okay.
a lobby, and then all of the large outdoor space.
2 rooms.
So for breakout sessions, really you only have 2 rooms over at the Adult Center, because the lounge is a good check-in station. It's a good kind of starting point, but it's not very large to really host anything. It's also connected to the Padilla room, so sound might bleed in too much if you were to host 2 things at one time. You could host something under the tent area if you wanted something like an open space that's not directly on the lawn. That's definitely an option. If the Playhouse is available that day, it's going to require Playhouse staff to be there, so we would need to look at the budget on that and confirm with Playhouse. It's a bit easier when it's at the Grapevine, because I can tell you already what we can and cannot accommodate. Doesn't mean that we can't do it at the place. It's just going to take a few more steps to make sure that can happen. The Playhouse would have, of course, the large auditorium itself. There's the glass room and then the rehearsal hall. Those would be a bit more difficult. The glass room might be a good breakout session option, but the rehearsal hall is at the back of the facility, so that might not be the best option. The auditorium itself, if we're not anticipating thousands of people, or that might be a bit overwhelming. So my suggestion would be to have we can do a small platform in front of the barrel, as if any of you attended AYC's fundraiser that they had at the Playhouse, or excuse me, at the Grapevine Arbor. We put up the stage in front of the barrel. I think it was only like 4 panels, and they had a backdrop on there. They put the podium on there, so you could do something similar to that, and then have even seating on the lawn area facing the keynote speaker if you wanted to. That way, it's a little bit more creative, a little bit more utilizing the space that's already there instead of having to go too much in the Playhouse. But I do love the plaza option to draw people in, because it can get a little like, where's it at? Because you can't really see it.
Okay, so with the Grapevine Arbor and the Adult Recreation Center, you said we have 2 rooms basically for workshops. Okay. I was thinking about the possibility, because with the LA County Department of Mental Health and the presentations that they offer, they do offer them in different languages already. So I was thinking about the option of having the same workshop running at the same time in multiple languages. But if we wanted to do it English, Spanish, Mandarin, that would be 3 separate spaces. Is that something that could be accommodated in that space?
Not necessarily in. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, if we can't do it easily in that space, I don't know how many workshop subjects you're intending to have, but you could just, if it's a 4-hour event, you can just stagger it. So you have the English version at 2:30 and then this one at 3, and so we just utilize those 2 rooms with 3 different lectures and 3 times, whatever the math is. So, 3 in English, 3 in Spanish, and 3 in Chinese, and just use those rooms. Sounds like what might need to happen.
Yeah. I mean, we did come up with quite an extensive list of topics, which I think will have to be pared down. But I think, if we only have the 2 rooms, it does make it, like, we can hit on a lot less of the topics maybe that we wanted to. And if you wanted me to read the topics so far, is that?
The glass room could be an option, since it's to the left of the Playhouse. It's a little bit offset from the main entrance, but it's definitely visible.
And it would still require Playhouse staff, though?
Potentially. I would need to connect with Rebecca.
The tent could also be an option.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that could be a
Okay,
third space.
a third, okay.
Yeah, that might be a better space even than the glass room.
Yeah. So, in Maine, granted, it obviously doesn't have air conditioning, but it is tented. It is walled off to some degree, because it has the Playhouse on 2 sides of it, and then it has all the hedges on the other. So it does lend itself to this is your station. It's not just kind of an area thrown at the back.
Yeah, that's super helpful. Okay, it's great to know more what we're working with. And so we did brainstorm the topics, we kind of organize them under kind of 6 main headers, which when we're thinking about having 6 different workshops, we kind of, organize them that way. But I don't know that we're going to be able to touch on all of them. But the first theme or topic we're talking about is understanding anxiety and depression and signs of mental health imbalances. So kind of recognizing symptoms. And under that, we were talking about mental health stigma and how our mental health impacts our lives, effects of the pandemic on mental health, emotional health in the brain, and understanding our trauma and triggers. Those are all kind of under that same heading of understanding how mental health affects our daily lives, and recognizing the symptoms. The next topic I have is accessing mental health resources, types of therapy and what to expect from a therapist, coping skills, mindful meditation, breathing, journaling, etc., nature, things that we can all use. The next theme, we're talking about aging and mental health. So social isolation, dementia, and Alzheimer's, long-term care, and elder caregiver support. Another one was stages of grief and loss. And I think Commissioner Borja said that we have a contact through MetLife and Children's Hospital that can do that presentation. Another one is children or teenagers and parents understanding mental health. So effects of social media on mental health, ADHD, eating disorders, bullying, substance abuse. And then the last topic was self-harm, suicidal ideation, and mental health crises. So talking about, in crisis, what do responses and treatment look like? Maybe LGBTQIA issues. So those were the topics that we brainstormed. It's a lot. But I'm really excited to try to talk about these topics in a broader environment with more people, and hopefully, get people engaged in thinking about them. So right now, our main focus has been trying to reach out to different organizations to see who will partner with us and what presenters and speakers are available. And there's a lot on this list as well. So I did talk to or email Nora at the Department of Mental Health, who says that they can accommodate 4 presenters for us. So and if they're, presenting even at 3 different times, that's like 12 presentations. I'm not saying that we need that many presentations from them, because they have a set list of the topics that they have. So we still have to decide on that. I did make contact also with Chinatown Service Center, Fuller Psychology and Family Services, and I talked to somebody at Foothill Family Services, but I haven't sent them the email yet. And at the Thanks USA event, I talked to Garfield Health Services, I think, yeah. And they were very excited to partner, and we're thinking, they could bring in a therapist too to speak. So other than that, I think Jackie has reached out to the Met team and the social worker that works with them. We have, who else do we have on here? I reached out to Alliant International University, which has a MFT and psychology program. A therapist that I know talked to me about they wanted to do more outreach and stuff too. So I reached out to them. We're still waiting on a contact from NAMI. I think we still have to contact 211. Let's see who else is on this list. I was thinking about reaching out to some assisted living places or people that work with elder care. We talked about some parents and social workers and school counselors that we know, and I think Jackie was talking about Anthem Blue Cross. We were possibly talking about Asian Youth Center and Herald Christian for help with translation, on top of other things that we have going on. and yeah, that's, and I did also reach out to Councilmember Rivera to just see what she was thinking as well.
Commissioner, I want to give Commissioner
Oh, yeah.
Borja and Commissioner Khan a moment to add anything.
No, so the brainstorm the processing has gone really well. You know, we're also asking for extra ideas too, and assistance. We were thinking about doing where people have the booths and doing like what's it called? Like a stamp card, so that people who go to all the booths, they stamp it, and then a full stamp goes into the lottery, and then that they can win prizes. So, you know, more people accessing the booths, things like that. And so we're looking at, you know, if people have things, gift cards that they can donate, that we can use for raffles. And then it's just also like getting the word out, you know, so people can attend.
So NAMI has responded. They'll be happy to participate this year. Oops, sorry. NAMI has got back to me the other day, and then they will be happy to sort of participate with us. So that's one. The other thing is, I think the booths we're talking about, like there was one we saw. I think we should start talking about getting some of them back, like you said, Herald Christian Center and other booths. And they are also interested in sort of participating. So that's one of the things which we can add to the mix.
So something that I wanted to do with this event too was to work closely with the displayers and the booths for what kinds of interactive booths we can have. So it's not just maybe a booth that has their brochures or tables or something, because I was talking about more like one thing I was thinking about was like, you know, LA County has all of these resources and like, you know, headspaces for free or things like that, but people like don't really know what it is, or like, you know, so we could just have a booth that's dedicated to like, this is how you use Headspace, this is what it's for, like, you know, interactive, like see the things that are available on there.
Nice.
I was thinking we could even have like some like quick surveys that you can take to like see, oh, are you having any symptoms of anxiety or depression? Like just very interactive things that people can, you know, access really easily. But I think that, I mean, it requires a little bit more partnership with the presenters and the people who are doing booths. So it's not just, okay, come up and set your booth up and, you know, but think a little bit more about engaging with people.
For something like that, you have to set some expectations then. You have to have like a sheet and tell them, these are my expectations. Can you deliver? And more than likely they will deliver. You'd mentioned the county. Have you reached out? Are we considering Hilda Solis? I know they have a lot of resources, right? They have a lot of stuff that they do also, like it's on. Yeah. And they have a lot of resources also. Like I know they do a lot of food giveaways, and maybe we might want to consider to get like some takeaways, right? Some giveaways for the kids. I don't know what the exact target audience will be. I mean, I think in general we should be targeting everybody, right? To a certain degree, right? And if we do target like a younger audience, I just want to see if we can consider to have like a breakout session just for them, targeted only for the kids, like a fun zone for them where it's more involved, like you said. I don't know if that was already considered. Maybe we should consider that. And then towards the end, I like your idea of collecting the stamps. Maybe we can have some sort of award ceremony, do some small little awards, have like 3 different awards or something. The person with the most stamps, the person that was most engaged, like 3. I don't know. We can come up with like some topics and then present it on behalf of the city. Here you go for participating. I think awards is always a nice thing.
Always itching towards the button. So no, all of that sounds really incredible, and thank you for all of the work that you are putting in. From listening, I would say, and kind of thinking about the time, in reality, we have July and August in terms of our being able to discuss this as a group, because we are limited in terms of the Brown Act, how much we can do outside of the group. And the three of you are, we put it all on the three of you to come back to us and kind of give us something. And then we have this time in the meeting to really brainstorm together. But I would just caution us in getting too overly ambitious on our first go around, because everything that you mentioned is incredible, and I'd love to hear a lecture on all of those. But in reality, trying to coordinate all of that within however long we're going to have, a 3-hour event, 4-hour event, is going to be somewhat difficult. So I'm wondering if it would be best to maybe concentrate on the LA County Department of Health, since they have these canned lectures already in many languages, that the easiest way to coordinate would be to go to that one organization, and then maybe the Met team to do one other, because they're local, and then you're done with your presentations and you know what to expect, because you know they have them and you know the languages that they're in. And then to utilize all these other groups that you've contacted that we also want to be a part as booths, but to encourage them to make their booth space interactive in such some way, so that maybe it isn't a lecture, but that they make it interactive. The only question I would have for Matthew about something being interactive is that we need power and internet. If you're going to have surveys, or if they're going to show people how to access these, online platforms, and I don't know if that's something we could have maybe inside the Grapevine. You could, but on the plaza, I don't know if we have city internet yet, or.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it, in fact, I'm almost positive it doesn't reach into the plaza area.
Okay.
The Playhouse has internet and the Grapevine has internet that still needs some assistance.
Okay.
But I'm not sure that it reaches into the plaza. I don't.
So that's just something to keep in mind in terms of the booth setup. And I don't know if the grassy area in the middle of the Grapevine, what's that called, the arbor area, that has connection. So maybe those booths can be inside, like we're at the health fair. I do also love the idea of the stamps and encouraging people to interact, and then giving prizes or that kind of thing at the end. I think that's really good. But I just, it is a very ambitious schedule. And so I think for our first year, that if we could just keep it kind of general, so when you, maybe those three, or I don't know which ones LA County already has in line, but definitely something on how to recognize, mental health illness. And you mentioned mental health in, the elderly, and maybe mental health in youth, or a special community, or whatever. I would pick off of that list just because it makes your life easier. Yeah, so I would try to do that, yeah.
I do think we were still kind of in the brainstorm, like, we didn't like narrow it down yet. I think we were basing it on like who is available, who can commit to being there. But I do think those are great points. Matthew, I did have a question about like the Brown Act and working on this event. Because I think that the other commissioners were willing to help out, and how to get that information out. Is it only in these meetings, or like if I send it to you and then you send it to them? Like, how does that?
So Mark, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but if it's a project that's directly related to the HERE Commission, it should be done at a public meeting. I can certainly send out information, but once it becomes, for example, if you were to send me information and then I were to send it to Chair Jennings, and then she were to provide a response back, and I send it back to you or send it back to the commission as a whole, it's essentially as if you two were communicating
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Which two commissioners would be fine, but if it was the whole commission communicating all about the one project, but potentially staff can help bridge that gap in other ways. And again, if there's so potentially by the next meeting, it would be a good idea to have everything kind of locked and ready. It'll help us for marketing purposes as well.
Okay.
So maybe that's
What to aim for?
on my side, that I need to devote a little bit more time to assisting you and the rest of the committee with what we can do on the city side, as far as helping you get a timeline going, designating the rooms, say, Department of Mental Health has photos that they can provide, then you can provide that to Clara so she can start prepping the social media items. So long story short, if we can get everything locked and loaded and ready for the commission's approval at the next meeting, I think that might be the best.
And how much detail does it have to be by then? Like how?
I'll leave that up to the commission as far as how comfortable the rest of the commission is with the three of you making the final call. It sounds like the commission is pretty comfortable with the direction that you're taking it so far. Maybe this meeting would be a great opportunity to kind of, as Chair Jennings has already said, narrow it down to those
Okay.
presenters. Say you're good with the grapevine room and tent area, and then we don't worry about the Mission Playhouse.
Yeah,
Yes,
those.
plaza pending availability, those things, and then that way it's just a matter of creating it and putting it together. Whereas, it doesn't necessarily take the whole commission to do something like that.
I was wondering, is it possible to kind of dole out assignments commission-wide, like in this meeting? Like if somebody wants to say, take on asking people for donations and sponsorships or something like that, like,
Yeah.
can we do that?
I don't see an immediate issue with
Okay.
that at all. If there were, let's say, Vice Chair Goto is responsible for all of the gift cards, and then at the next meeting, everyone gets together, or it's provide your information to Matthew, and then I combine everything, put it in a report for everyone for the next meeting. I'm happy to kind of be that point person to collect the information, so in that way it's in a neat little bow for everyone for the next meeting. If that's helpful.
Yeah, is anybody interested in taking any part of this to help organize? I mean, because there is a lot,
I mean, if you could tell us what parts
Okay.
are, so if there's still people that need to be contacted that you would like to assign to someone or throw out there for someone to take, and then you mentioned you had mentioned sponsorships at one point, but I don't know if they're sponsorships as much as just looking for some prizes or donations and bringing that back, or if there's anything else that you want us to do. Yes.
I also wanted to add, in terms of how much detail we might need for the next meeting, I think if we can lock in like who the keynote is and what the subject areas of even if maybe even the titles of the workshops, I think that'll be our first push on publicity, particularly if we're going to have multiple sessions in different languages. We're going to have to make sure that we make a really concerted effort to reach those populations to ensure that there's enough people, in each of the workshops. So I'd say, like, in terms of the priorities, getting the workshop topics, I don't think we necessarily have to advertise the expo portion until it's much closer, if at all, really. But if we can get those, I think that'd be helpful even for Clara to start planning what kind of media outreach or push. And then I would say, it would be helpful to us for you to let us know, the committee to let us know what portions you need help with so that we can all pitch in, because this is a commission event, so it's not on just the committee, and everyone should be contributing, definitely with outreach if nothing else, but yeah, absolutely with the organizing as well. And I totally agree with Chair Jennings Nunez. We should try to, for our first effort, try to stay focused on what we think may be the most, I don't want to say popular, but maybe the most important topics maybe for our community, and then think a little bit about who we're targeting. As Commissioner Herrera mentioned, we may have some that are targeted more for students and parents, but we may also have something for seniors and older residents. So I think that would be helpful for us just to kind of figure out how we're going to do the outreach.
That sounds good. I think so. I feel like we do need some help with, the donations and somebody to coordinate that, who, things that we're going to raffle off for the stamp cards. And we were thinking of a possibility to have like free, like 10-minute chair massages, like stuff like that, which that's where I think sponsorships would come in, or just reaching out to like massage schools or things like that, So It's not like it's necessary or anything, but that's part of, I think. Um, do you think anybody would be willing to?
I
You wanna-
can take the lead on that.
Okay.
I can see what I can do as far as
Okay.
giveaways and trying to
Giveaways
get some
and
gift cards.
incentives, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. I try to do my best to reach out to some people.
Okay.
Yeah. Just maybe we'll get together, and so that
Sure.
we can, we can narrow down what you want, like the massage thing. I think that's pretty nice. It will release some stress, right? For sure, for everybody. So
Yeah.
I
I
can
mean,
reach
and that's
out
a
to
great
couple
thing to
people.
list in the
Yeah.
advertisement documents, right? That,
Right.
you know, free chair massages.
Right. I know like a couple people like in the Hilton and the Sheraton that provide the service, so maybe I can reach out to them and other people in the community to figure out what we can get. So yeah, just count me in on that for sure.
Would it be helpful for staff to prepare like a form letter that has the details of the event?
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great. And
That would be-
yeah,
that
if it's
would be
from
awesome.
the city too, it's like a little bit less like,
More
oh, I'm just like a
formal.
random commissioner
Right,
emailing you,
right.
which is.
Right.
And then if those donations, if you're comfortable, can come back to the city, we'll stick it in the safe, and then that way everything's clean and above board, and that way we know it's all in the same space, and it doesn't, get left at someone's house, things happen, and we forget where we put it.
I'll have
Yeah.
have a couple of them in my house to donate the massage. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I think we all have some stuff that we could probably donate to make like raffle baskets and stuff. For the keynote speaker, we were talking about possibly Hilda Solis. I don't know if anybody has other recommendations, or I don't know if she's available. But do you have any ideas, Rick?
If the dates are, I mean, if she's not busy on that day, she will make it, because I think last week there was a program and I talked to her about our event, and if she's not busy, then she'll make it, or at least she'll send her representative.
Oh, somebody
If she's
talked to her
busy.
about our event?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Did you talk to her about it?
Oh.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Remember I told you that either we can get our Congresswoman Judy Chu, or we can get Hilda Solis. Hilda Solis is a lot more involved with the mental health and other issues. I think she'll be proper for that purpose.
Commissioner Khan, could we try to contact her office to see if she's available on that date?
I will. Let's. I tell you what. We're Zooming on Mondays, and we have got 3 Mondays, right, left before the next meeting. Because I think this Monday maybe it's 4th of July. We could probably move that a day or so. So we'll still get four meetings. And in these meetings, I think there are great suggestions came out of all of you, which basically tells us that we need to narrow down, and then we'll distribute our work. So I think by then we'll have all the details worked out. I think we'll get Matthew involved and get something out before that, so that before the next meeting we'll have something solid. And I will check the date also with that.
That'd be great, because I know her calendar probably fills up. So.
And I would
Definitely.
just keep in mind that when you say before the next meeting, you'll have something out. We can't really send out a whole lot before the next meeting, but at the next meeting, you can bring back that event outline. And I actually, did we decide on a time? I know we have a date. Do we have
I
a
think
time?
we said like 12 to 4.
12 to 4, okay. But you'll have the event outline, and then you can assign any tasks that are still remaining. And as Vice Chair Goto said, at the least, hopefully we can confirm that Hilda Solis can open our event, and then the subject matter for our breakout sessions that you're going to draw from the LA County Department of Health, speak with the Met team. So I don't know if that's something that you would like one of us to do, or maybe we can ask Commissioner Fitzsimmons if she could just make sure that the Met team is aware. I don't know if you want the whole Met team, if you wanted the social worker from the Met team, but you could specify who you would like, but at least we need to give them that date and time so that the officer who is involved in that can put that on her schedule. And then the booths, we'll figure out depending on who confirms. Do we need to create some kind of booth form or booth application, or do you have one that you've used at your other events, just so that we have on paper who's coming?
That would definitely be my recommendation.
Okay.
Is I can update it to match
Mhm. Mhm. And the registration is going to be free? This is a question. Booth registration space is free?
Mhm.
What do you think?
If you're looking for staff, my recommendation would be that it's free.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'm just trying to clarify
Absolutely.
before, so the booth registration is free. We provide the booths, the table, and the chairs in terms of the
Mm.
city. They need to provide whatever literature and all that stuff, and Matthew will check in terms of power, but if it isn't on that booth form, whether they're requesting power or any other special setup stuff, then we'll need them to indicate that on the form. And then Commissioner Bernhagen, Khan, and Borja, you can decide kind of the placement of the booths, but with some of them being outside on the plaza. And right now, I'm just kind of summarizing what we've been going through, so Matthew has it for our minutes. But on the plaza, as well as within the arbor, and we may also be using that back covered tent area for some activities. We're going to get prizes, and Commissioner Herrera is going to work on getting that for us. And then at the next meeting, hopefully, if there are people who are still outstanding that need to be contacted or followed up with, you can assign that to us, and whatever other tasks come out of your next 3 meetings that you need help with, you'll assign them to us.
Mhm.
I think also what helps maybe is if there's like a setup map that's been used before that we can see, that we can get an idea of how we're going to place things.
I can send you one from the album notes.
On the registration form for the booth exhibitors, if you want them all to have an interactive element, you might add that question of what kind of interactive activity would you be able to provide.
Is that something the city also is willing to help with signage and stuff for, if we kind of partner with them on interactive booth ideas, or is that just up to them?
I would personally make it up to, it's a lot for the city
Okay.
to take on. I would make that part, and they usually already have their own banners and signs. If you wanted to ask them to do a giveaway, maybe they would have a little
Yeah,
prize.
but I was thinking like, because they have a banner and sign that has usually their organization name and stuff, but like, if they were, when we're talking about something that makes somebody want to come up and interact with a booth, like you would have a big sign say like, oh, meet a therapist, or like something like, that kind of is catchy and like, and I don't think that they have signs like that kind of hanging around.
I would maybe work with Matthew to
Okay.
put an example in the booth form of what you might be looking for.
Okay.
And then put it up to them. Some of them might be able to do it, some of them won't, but I think it would be a lot to ask for our city staff, keeping in mind when we say city staff, we're not speaking
Yeah,
of
I
hundreds
know.
of people, we're speaking
Yeah.
of a handful of people, to now take all of these requests for signage. So I would provide, as Commissioner Herrera said, kind of what you would like to
Okay.
see in terms
Right.
of expectations, and those that can do it, great, but I would put that back on them.
I think for a lot of the organizations too, like someone like AYC, they have volunteers and their students who can help put together stuff like that. So I wouldn't offer it if somebody asks. I think, as the chair has mentioned, they've been out to multiple community events, so they may already have stuff.
But I always see them like all these booths and nobody's
Right.
going by and
Right.
interacting with them,
Right.
because they don't know
Right.
what they're about, or like, and I know with the stamp card that's totally going to help, but I think if each one has like a specific like goal in the way that they're interacting, or like information that they're wanting to give in addition to their own, promotional materials, I just feel like it would make it like a more,
Right. So again, it's gonna have to be the way that we pitch it to them, right? We're gonna give them we give them the expectations and the way we're marketing this event, right? This is not just whatever event. This is a more interactive, engaging. We're basically already out of COVID, right? So
it's not the
you guys know what I mean.
No.
'Cause, yeah, I know. So the way that we're marketing is going to go back to marketing. We want to make sure when we're marketing this that we say this is going to be an interactive a new way to interact with these booths. This is not just going to be the standard way of interacting with the booths. We're going to ask more from the people that come out. They're already providing great service, but we're going to give them an expectation and strongly recommend, right? Like Commissioner Nunez, Chair Nunez stated, right? We can just recommend it, strongly recommend it, but that's pretty much as we can do. Or we can have the Asian Youth Center also volunteer. I know they have a huge, huge task force as far as youth involvement, so we can probably help out and just ask these people that are these organizations that are going to come out, just ask them, okay, what would you like? We're going to make a poster board. What would you like the poster board to say?
So I don't know if Commissioner, just to clarify, I'm not sure Commissioner Goto was volunteering AYC to make signage for other organizations. I think she was pointing that out as an example of that's an organization that would have their own manpower to make their own signage. But as you said, so I would put in the form that we'd like to make this as interactive as possible, give them an example, and leave it at that. I don't know if we can strongly recommend or really, the people coming out for free on a Sunday to provide this information and services. And the interactive part is going to be these wonderful breakout sessions and things that are being planned, and I think that's going to make it interactive also. So I'm not trying to rain on any parade. I'm really just trying to manage our own expectations because, I see an incredible event. I just want to make sure it doesn't get unmanageable, and so in our hope of making it so big and kind of something for everyone, that we kind of lose ourselves in it. So
Yeah.
this is our very first kind of major event. Really and truly, if you can get the Hilda Solis and the breakout rooms and the booth together, the three of you will have done an incredible feat. And so I would really try to focus on that and keep all of this information for next year. This hopefully will not be our last, but will be our first annual. And so with each one, we can add on to it. But for this one, I think I would just, as the Vice Chair
I mean,
Goto said,
I like a different model of collaboration and
Right.
community involvement, like
I
I
like
don't
that.
want it to be this thing where like everybody just
Right.
has their individual like things. It's like we're all coming together in a partnership for this community to address mental health issues, and it's more interconnected than it is like everybody's doing their separate little pieces. And that's the only reason why I'm trying to see about like, is there a way that we can partner with them in their booths? And like that idea, like I don't know if that's a thing, George, that we can ask AYC to be like, will you partner with us and give us volunteers for signage, or like, so that there's more coordination, kind of cross organization. There's not just, we're giving you a form, fill out the form, show up with your promotional materials,
Yeah, as someone who has tabled at many events, I know we've spent many hours trying to determine how to draw people to the table. And so one thought maybe if we can get the exhibitors, and there are ones that may only have their organizational sign, maybe we can think about like we could do a map of the expo area and then put your suggestions like meet a therapist or on the map, so that at least there's that and it's not too overwhelming to try to do signs for each one. I mean, that's an option, but I think when we start to see who's coming, maybe that'll kind of spark some possible collaboration amongst the organizations as well, because like you said, I'm sure a lot of them have tabled together before, so I really appreciate all the thought you guys have put into it, and I know we really want it to be very valuable to the community. And the other piece that I really want to express to everyone is we have to make a really hard push to make sure people come, because that'll determine whether organizations want to come back, in the next year and participate again.
I'm thinking going out with the bang, but yeah, we have to understand, right, the resources that we have, right. But I'm still thinking the same way of going out with a bang and just the way that I envision it is because it's a mental health. It's already like a, to me, it's already like a dull subject that people really want to hide behind a shell around, and it's like a sensitive, private topic. People are, hopefully, we get a good turnout because it's something that we really need to talk about, right? But then again, I'm all for giving it that twist, you know, the extra spice.
I mean,
you know?
I think it's possible. I mean, I've been PTA president for 5 years. You
Yeah.
know, like I've done 600-person events
Yeah.
at the drop of a hat before. And I know it's ambitious, and I know like maybe we'll, you know, do a lot of stuff, but I do think that things are possible. And I don't think that everything on our list is going to get done. Like you know, right now is a little bit more pie in the sky time. We're just doing the brainstorming. But I do feel like, you know, some of the things that, depending on what our vision and values turn out to be for the event, are going to be possible.
So I think, as Matthew said, we have 100% confidence in the three of you to kind of put your vision into this event and then bring it back to us. And then however we can support you and help you, we will. I think the next meeting will be key in deciding on how much we can accomplish and for whatever the vision turns out to be. So we will wait for the next meeting.
And a quick question, 2 actual questions. The most important question for me, you know, this is lunchtime. Is there going to be food provided, or are we going to have somebody provide food? I mean, it's a legitimate question. I mean, can we get with some of, I don't know, local restaurant and ask them to donate a couple of things? I mean, is that something that we could do?
So the local restaurant, I would say, would be Blossom Market, and I know at the where were we? At the Thanks USA event, they at least were giving 10% off. I don't know if it was everyone or if it was the dignitaries, but they did give 10% off, so it was encouragement to go to Blossom Market. I would say if you're thinking of having any kind of free food, we'll add that on to your donations along with the massage therapist and all those things, see what magic you can work. But
Right.
at the very least, we can talk up our own local vendors and
Right.
maybe get Luna's and
Yeah, I'm all
Blossom
for
Market
Luna's, yeah.
to give a discount to those participants who bring their little stamp card.
I wonder about Councilmember Rivera as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. She has a restaurant, I believe.
A
right?
Pavo, so
bakery,
she
yeah.
may make a donation and, yes.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. For Clean Lines, I would just recommend Councilwoman Rivera would be a great asset.
But
She
no,
definitely
right,
has a passion,
right,
but as
right.
far as donation for her business, we'd probably want to steer away.
Right. Okay, so leave it up. I'll make some phone calls to see if we can do anything with regards to the food. Okay, maybe I know there's the ice cream shop too here, and they're very involved. Nomads, and then Factory Tea. I don't know. I can go talk to them and see. It's worth a try, right? And then another thing, are we going to have any kind of like, when we kick it off, is there going to be like music, or are we going to have music? I mean, I can't say I can get any, I don't know any musicians really. So, but are we going to have like some kind of kickoff celebration with music or something along those lines, or no?
I mean, if you're talking about music, I'm thinking about like a boombox with a speaker and some Keeling music playing, if that's as simple as that. But getting someone to perform, that's another task.
Oh, that's a good point, because I did actually contact a friend of mine who does sound baths and breath work, and he does also play the electric cello. So, I mean, but I just don't know, like, I don't think it's going to be that kind of event.
Okay.
It'll be fun, but it's not like we're going to have like a DJ or
Right.
that kind of thing. But I can think about that. Like
Because
what
we're
thing
act-
to start like an
Right,
opening ceremony, like
Right.
what
And
would that
some
look
opening
like?
remarks with the purpose. This is
Yeah.
the purpose from the Care Commission. This is what we're doing it. This is why, just to kick it off.
Would you be up for doing that, Chair Jennings Nunez? Just like kicking off a ceremony?
Providing the music.
No. Yes, both.
Yeah, no, I think
Paula
everyone,
chose
yeah,
it.
so hopefully with the next one, we'll come back with the program, but I definitely think the program should open with introductions and remarks and, what the goal of the day is, and with Hilda Solis, and then, we kind of encourage people to go to the booths, and we talk about the breakout session. So yes, I think there should be an opening remarks that is at some point at the beginning of the day, and all of that would be part of that.
No, I was asking if you would do the opening remarks.
Yes, but
Okay.
I will also bring up all of our here
Oh,
commissioners
okay.
to be introduced. So yes, yeah.
Can I also then just make a suggestion for next month's meeting? If we can bring like 2 to 3 donated items to the meeting, so that we can give. So it could be gift cards, it could be something that was gifted to you, it could be anything, and then we can also give it to Commissioner Herrera.
Is that okay if we just donate stuff, Matthew?
Yeah.
But I mean, not saying that everybody has to, but if you want to bring it to the next meeting, you can.
Yeah.
It's not compulsory.
Record, when you give it to me, it's going to go back to Matthew, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
you're welcome
that's a
to
nice,
just send the donations directly to our office, and we'll go ahead and keep that in the safe until the event. So in a safe location, all in one. So if the commission's okay with it, we'll prepare the letter and the registration form, the donation letter and the registration form. The registration form will be similar to all of our other events, with an encouragement to provide an interactive component. And then the commission can always follow up at the next meeting with who's submitted their applications and who wants to do an interactive component, what that looks like, which is typically what we do for the other events, such as, trying to think, was it Surf's Up or Fall Fun Festival, where we have to follow up with them to confirm exactly what they're doing, how big is their booth going to be. It doesn't just stop at the registration form, so that might be, but at least you could still kind of get that initial contact out of the way. And
So, thanks, Matthew. So, with regards to food, there's also another factor. About how many people are we projecting? How many people do
Upwards
we want
of
at least?
100.
Up 100 plus, right? That's what we want? Okay, I'll just put up 100 plus, just to have a number.
Matthew, I'm sorry. Matthew, what's popular in terms of gift cards, but cards from who? Or which markets? I mean,
sure, I wish I could pinpoint one in particular, but typically the ones that I've given out most recently for prizes are Nomad's Ice Pops and Dancing Spoons. Dancing Spoons actually went over really well the last time we gave it out. I was surprised because it is a restaurant. It's not necessarily something that a kid would be super excited about, but the family seemed to be pretty excited about it. Nomad's Ice Pops typically appeals more towards the kids because their marketing is a bit more colorful, and it's a popsicle, so of course the child's going to be excited about that. So those are the two most common.
So maybe Commissioner Herrera, if you're contacting those local businesses anyway, if they may be more open to donating a gift card than to providing, Nomads is a small kind of business, so providing 100 popsicles would be a big ask for them, but they might provide a $20 gift card, and the same thing for Factory T-Bar and Luna's. If you are open for an ask, then those are good things to
I'm gonna ask 'em. I'm gonna do a strong ask for both, but we'll see.
so that's mainly for children. What about adults? Like,
So Dancing
folks?
Spoons is our local restaurant, local Thai restaurant, and that one I think it's good for adults. Luna's, but I would say any generic, a grocery store gift card, a gas card right now would probably go over really well. Target,
Home Depot, Best Buy,
any of those things, yeah. would
Victoria's
be
Secret
much-
is pretty popular.
Much appreciated
Yeah,
by any of the participants.
The only kind of friendly reminder would be just that we can't promise them anything in return. That all kind of goes into a different realm. We've done that before for like our Summer in San Gabriel series, where we've had a whole sponsorship packet together, but that typically goes to the city attorney. It'll go to Rebecca and all of that fun stuff, and I doubt you want to deal with that. So it'll be more of just an in-kind donation, and without getting anything in return. They wouldn't get like their name on anything, or potentially we could do like a thank you poster or something at the event, something small, but nothing typically beyond that. Just because I'm sure some businesses might ask.
So then, as far as when it comes to the gift cards and the giveaways, is that gonna be like prize 1, 2, 3 kind of thing, where we set up a basket, or like just everybody in general is gonna get something kind of, or I see.
I wouldn't say everybody, but I feel like the more raffle items we do and we can intersperse it throughout the event,
Right.
it keeps people around.
Right.
And, you know, having more than just one prize makes it exciting for people. They have continual opportunities to win, right? So, you know, if we have like 10, 15 things for them to win, it's not like, oh, the person already won and that's over.
Right.
It's like, no, there's more stuff.
And everybody gets a ticket, or how would that work?
Right now, we're talking about having the completed stamp cards from going to all the booths.
Got it. That's perfect. Yes, I like that.
Any other questions right now or input from our committee members? Right. Well, thank you for all of your work, and then we look forward to our next meeting and assignments, and if there is any information that you can pass on through Matthew to provide us to work before the next meeting so that we can bring something back, then please work with Matthew to do that. Thank you. So this, I know we discussed those 2 items on our annual work plan as our primary focus. I do have one other item just because it is coming up in terms of our work plan that I wanted to remind us about, but are there any other questions or our discussion in terms of our 2022 annual work plan? So in our meeting where we created our work plan, or maybe it was at the last meeting, we did discuss that in August, at our August meeting, we would like to work with San Gabriel Police Department to provide us with their stop statistics. So just kind of for information, AB 953 is a bill that was passed a while ago. Actually, it's called Racial and Identity Profiling Act of 2015. It took effect on July 1st of 2018, and they started actually with the largest 8 law enforcement agencies in California, and then kind of worked their way down to the smaller agencies. So any agency that has fewer than 334 officers, but more than 1 officer, their reports are now going to be due April 1st of 2023, and that's going to be data from 2022. So our police department should be working on that right now, and hopefully can provide information from the first half of 2022 by August. I'm not sure, but that's what we want to ask. And this would be information on all stops that are pedestrian or within a vehicle. That's what's called for by AB 953. At a minimum, they have to record the date, the time, the location, the reason, the result of the stop, and if there was an arrest, what offense, as well as and this is the sticker, but this is the best that this Assembly bill could do, is the perceived race or ethnicity, gender, and age of the person who stopped. They can't actually ask for that information, so it's whatever the officer's perception is. But it still would be very valuable. So again, we put in our work plan that August, at our August meeting, we'd like to start looking at that data. So if you would like me, or someone to contact Chief Harris, who I'm sure will direct us to the right person within the department to obtain that information, that would be good.
I believe the chief is already aware of it from when it was initially on the work plan, but we'll work with Rebecca and Mark and the chief on that information.
Thank you. Any other?
I did also, Commissioner Godo announced the raffle winner for the survey, the engagement survey, you know, people who filled it out, and announced that there's going to be another raffle at the National Night Out event. Is that, can we put another push out, like in social media, and then maybe, you know, Councilmember Menchaca, to get more people to fill out that survey again, and that we're having another raffle?
And speaking, I don't know if this goes under comments or if this is part of our work plan, but speaking of National Night Out, I know that they're going to have they're going to have booths at National Night Out with community organizations, and Commissioner Herrera has encouraged us to get out and meet the public and to have a booth. This would be a perfect opportunity to have a booth. It's August 2nd. Um, Can we say now that we would like to do that? Is that appropriate?
Yeah, if the commission would like to do that to promote the community engagement survey and the other
Well,
events,
actually, and to just promote the
the
commission.
commission itself,
Mhm.
yeah, we can definitely reach out to Stacy from PD to see if there's an additional booth available, and I'm
Okay.
sure she can accommodate.
Thank you. Okay, good. Anything else on this agenda item?
I don't know if this is there, or I could talk about this, but maybe somehow starting to get some footage, especially if we have a booth, getting footage of us being out there and saying a couple words. Like a video for the Here Commission that we can, like a brief video, like a 30-second video, if we can get something out for public awareness. Can we talk about that right now? No.
Do you mean to utilize on that day or to
No.
put
Just
on
to put
our
it on
page?
on the page, on our social media page, to let the public know of what we're doing and that we're here for them to promote diversity. I know we talked about it a while back. I don't know if it got put in the agenda or not.
I'm not currently seeing it on the work plan, so it looks like it would need to wait and we can, if
That's
the
fine.
commission would like to add it to the agenda next time. I'm just doing a quick run through again to see if potentially
Or
there
we
is
could do it
something
next
that
year,
ties
that's
in.
fine. Okay.
One thing I wanted to also mention, thank you for bringing that up, Commissioner Brenhog. For the next incentive item, it's going to be raffle to anyone who fills out the survey up through July 31st. And we all need to, all of us, make a push with any service organization you're involved with, any parent organization, any whatever connections you have in the community to try to get people to fill out the survey. Because I don't know, Matthew, if you happen to know how many more submissions we have, but 70 was not representative. And I don't know if you had a chance, Commissioner Borja, to send it out to the schools as well. So I would encourage all of us to try to make a concerted effort to get people wherever you are, if you're at a meeting, to fill that out so that we can get a good sampling. And we had some really great ideas that were submitted in sort of the first wave. So I would encourage everyone to, wherever you are, make that push.
What is the gift card that is?
It's another $50 Target card.
$50.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll send it out.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So we did mention that at the Surf's Up event for anybody there who hadn't filled out the survey, but hopefully we can continue to push that message.
Okay, so we'll go on to agenda item 4B, which is our land acknowledgement statement. The land acknowledgement statement advisory committee members and staff are going to provide an update on the progress toward the development of a citywide land acknowledgement statement. And just as a reminder, Commissioner Brinhog and myself are members of that committee. Matthew, do we have any public comments on this discussion item?
We do not.
Okay. So the time for public comment on this item is now closed. I don't know, Matthew, if you want to provide an update, but essentially the update is that we don't have any new information to bring. We're still waiting to schedule our follow-up meeting for the committee. So as soon as we're able to do that, then we'll be able to bring you back an update.
That sounds great. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. So moving on to our commission reports. This is agenda item number 5. And before we begin our commission reports, I actually wanted to ask, thank you, City Manager Lazaretto, if he could just spend a few minutes kind of providing us with information on the purpose and the expectations behind the commission reports. Even though we've been at this for about a year and a half, we're all, I think, brand new commissioners. And so we're still kind of learning our way in terms of our expectations. And so City Manager Lazaretto is going to provide us some information.
Thank you, Chair Jennings. So I just here, as Chair Jennings said, to give you just some comments on what the commissioner comments section of the agenda is about. There are some formal, two formal reasons for it, and then informal reasons. I'll start with the formal reasons. Councils and commissions have to report whenever you go to a training or a seminar that the city has paid for, and the reason for that is they want to make sure that taxpayers are getting a benefit, and we have to demonstrate whatever training or seminars or conferences that you all go to, that there's a benefit back to the community that you serve. So there's a formal requirement that when you go to a training or a conference or a seminar, when you come back to your next commission meeting, just give a couple of sentences on it, what you learned, what the benefit was, and give everybody the benefit of some of that. That is the formal, one of the formal uses for that commissioner comment section. The other formal reason for that section is for putting an agenda item on. So right now we have a way to get an agenda item on a future agenda would be for Matthew or staff to put an item on the future agenda, or for Chair Jennings Nunez to ask for an agenda item. But let's say that somebody else wanted to have something to talk about, as tonight, as an example, Commissioner Herrera wanted to talk about putting a video or something like that together. The way to formally add that to an agenda item would be if you do it by Chair Jennings doing that, or at the end of the meeting like tonight, you could ask for that to be put on during commissioner comments. And you would have to have a majority of the commission agree to that. And then which would be 4 of you. If 4 of you agreed to have that item put on an agenda, then we would put that on a future agenda. If only 3 or 2 or nobody else agreed, then that would basically die and it would have to come back at some other time. So those are the 2 formal uses of that commissioner comment section. The more informal, especially with the HERE Commission, would be to give an update on things that are happening in the community. So National Night Out, Surf's Up. Commissioner Goto, or Vice Chair Goto, has given some phenomenal things about events that are happening in museums or other events in not only San Gabriel but in the area. Commissioner Brenhaw talks about, I mean, all of you have given items or events that would be of interest to the community and to other commissioners. So those are all very appropriate. What you want to stay away from is anything that would promote a discussion. Because we don't have anything on the agenda for those items, if you're going to bring up an item, it should just be a comment. It shouldn't be a question really, or it shouldn't be something that is going to provoke a discussion. If it does provoke a discussion, then I'd have to hopefully politely say, let's put that on an agenda for a future item. So there should be minimal back and forth, because the public wouldn't know ahead of time that that was going to be something discussed, and therefore they wouldn't have the benefit of coming to that meeting or watching it on TV if it was something they would want to discuss. And then lastly, I want to say, because we're getting into that election season time, and we remind staff, we do this at this time of the year in our staff meetings, that you shouldn't use commissioner comments for promoting a particular candidate or saying something against a particular candidate. I say about staff because we talk in our staff meetings about reminding each other that certainly while we're in city facilities and on city time, we don't talk about those kinds of things. If you want to talk about getting the vote out, and don't forget to register to vote, don't forget to, that we're going to have voting, places here in San Gabriel at XYZ location, and get out and vote, that's all appropriate, and it falls certainly under what the HERE Commission does, but I wouldn't talk about, hey, make sure you vote so that we don't, lose votes on that issue or this issue, or don't use it as a forum or a format to promote or opposite for a particular candidate. As far as, making personal comments or attacks, obviously the whole commission agenda should be kept free of that. We're a commission in any city business, but particularly this commission, it's best if we all work together and collaboratively and not use it as a forum for any of the agenda items, but certainly for commissioner items to use that as a way to make comments or attacks, which I haven't had any concerns about, but those are the kinds of things you'll want to stay away from. And that would be the appropriate use of that commission report section. Any questions on that or comments? Or Chair Nunez, Jennings Nunez, I just amalgamated your names together. I apologize for that.
You can just use the Jennings. That's what most people stop with. So, no, thank you. I appreciate that clarification. And even though this isn't necessarily an agenda item, are there any questions or any requests for further clarification on any? I do just have one question. I know we don't have a budget, but if there was a training that one of us wanted to attend, is there a way to request a fund from, or wanted the commission to attend, similar to city council when they go to meetings or trainings? Is that something that we would need to put as part of our annual work plan, and that would be approved by the city council? Would that be the appropriate way to do that?
Yes. So if
Okay.
it's something you wanted to have an ongoing budget for training, you'd have to put it on the work plan. If you saw something that you knew was coming up in the future, or a particular type of training, yes, you can put it on the work plan. If something was coming up in a month or two and it was really going to be beneficial and you wanted to consider that for the HEAR Commission, then you can talk to staff and we could put that on a council agenda item as a request from council to fund a particular training or event.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So with that information on commission reports, each commissioner may address the HEAR Commission and public on matters of general information and/or concern. This is also the time for commissioners to report on conferences and/or meetings that they have attended. So I'll start with Commissioner Khan. Would you like to report on anything?
Well, as all of us have attended the Saturday event, for the health fair, I think it was tremendous success. They had a car until the end by 1:30, and it was quite an excitement. So you had dances and kids danced and stuff, but most of the folks stayed for the car, so that was pretty interesting. Second thing is, I think I saw a note from the city asking 3 judges from us for the July 4th Children's Parade. And it was Rebecca's note, so I'd like that to be discussed if it's, so she needs, Rebecca, is that you needed 3 judges, right, for July 4th?
Yes, and I've already received responses. We sent that both to the HEAR Commission and to the Community Services Commission, so
Thank you.
thank you.
Good. I just thought
But I
maybe
would
I'll just-
invite you all to be there.
I
Whether
would
you're
be-
going to judge or not, that would be great.
Thank you. That's enough.
All right. So I had the pleasure to hear from the veterans in regards to a memorial that they want to work on, and I just want to say that I want to first of all commend them for their hard work and for their service, and I'm excited to see what they want to do in the city, and that's pretty much it on that. But also had the pleasure to attend Thanks USA with every single one of you that are out here, with the exception of one commissioner. But it was a huge success. I think it was a great event, well put. 3 events in one. Walk for Health, which I did not participate in. I should have probably participated in that one. Flag raising, I did participate on that. And then the Care Fair. I just want to commend the group for putting this together, the group behind Thanks USA. And then after that, I know I saw Chair Jennings Nunez also participate or support or visit the Dukes San Gabriel Valley. They had a car show, and it was super cool. Last year they had a car show, but it was even more jam-packed with vehicles, but it's kind of like tucked in. I wish they would consider to talk to the city to have it outside by the Playhouse. It would be such a beautiful sight to see. So many beautiful cars, old school, classic cars, San Gabriel Valley, a couple of chapters. I thought that was really cool, especially when we're promoting diversity. That's part of our diverse culture, 25%, right? Hispanic, I believe. I'm not sure on the numbers, but most of the people there were Hispanic. And I'm sure there's the whole culture in Japan right now with the classic cars, and and the cholo look, you know, is becoming an actual thing in Japan. If you haven't seen it, there's a interesting video on YouTube. It's pretty cool. Other than that, I know there was a really horrific shooting that happened, and I'm pretty sure all of you are aware with the two officers that were gunned down, horrifically gunned down while they were performing their honorable work, their service to the community of El Monte. So I just want to commend them for their work and honor them for their service as their service basically ended that day that they were gunned down. And I just want to mention their name, if I may. Officer Joseph Santana and Corporal Michael Paredes. We have a serious issue. I don't want to get into the issues, but I think it's very important to push what we are pushing for mental health. And I think our city is doing the right thing with what our commission is pushing for having this event. So, thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to report that I attended a workshop, a free one, entitled Holding the Calm, and it provided strategies and tools for resolving conflicts and diffusing tension. The presenter is an international mediator and attorney named Hessa Abrams, and she has a book coming out by the same title, Holding the Calm. And you can view a short video and get a preview of the book at her website, holdingthecalm.com. And I pre-ordered it, so I'm looking forward to getting more information. There's a lot of strategies about how to go about de-escalating conflicts. And one of the things that she talks about also is sort of the physiological response and how to mitigate that so that you are more able to keep things calm and make decisions in a rational manner. So thought it was really useful. And lastly, I wanted to acknowledge the celebration of life for social justice hero Secretary Norman Yoshio Mineta that took place at the Japanese American National Museum last Saturday. For those who don't know his story, Secretary Mineta was interned at Hart Mountain concentration camp during World War II when he was 10 years old. He went on to serve in the U.S. military and became the first Asian American mayor of a major city in San Jose. He served in Congress for 2 decades and was tapped as a cabinet member under both the Democratic and Republican president. He was Secretary of Commerce for Bill Clinton and Secretary of Transportation for George W. Bush, where he notably insisted that no one suffer from discrimination by the government during the aftermath of 9/11. He co-founded the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus in Washington, D.C., and was instrumental in the passage of the Civil Liberties Act in 1988, which gave redress and an apology from the U.S. government to Japanese Americans who were incarcerated during the war. So if you would like to learn more about this legendary American icon who passed away at the age of 90 this year, there's an excellent documentary called Norman Mineta and His Legacy, An American Story that's available on PBS. I'd highly recommend it. And just wanted to wish everyone a lovely 4th of July, Independence Day. I hope we take the opportunity to reflect on our personal role in upholding our democracy this year. Thanks.
I also attended along with everybody else with Thanks USA. But I also wanted to mention, you know, on the topic of mental health, and thank you, Commissioner Goto, about mentioning a book. There is a book that is out there that's really great. It's called What My Bones Know, and it's about complex PTSD, and it's written by Stephanie Fu. And it's a PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's long-term complex PTSD. And the book is divided into 3 segments, and part of it is, you know, the beginning of what she went through, and then the different types of therapy, and she says that there's a happy ending, but she does a lot of talks on this mental health, and it's a great book to read. And that is it for my time.
And I actually don't have anything to report on this month.
Thank you. And so, just once again, and Commissioner Brenhog was at the Thanks USA event as well, and did lots of work there with gathering information for the booth. So I appreciate that the three commissioners were working while they were enjoying that. And I want to thank Mayor Tony Ding for that invitation. I think he sent that out to us, and that was a really great event. So we appreciate his thinking about inviting us as a group. In terms of just things that I'd like to report on, I am a member on the executive board of the Kiwanis Commission, Kiwanis of San Gabriel. And so on June 2nd, we had our scholarship dinner, and we gave out 10 scholarships to all 5 local high schools. So I thought that was really great that we included not just SGUSD, but the other institutions in our area as well. It was a really diverse group and just a wonderful event. I also listened to Commissioner Goto is always sending us out information. That's really great with lots of links. And so she sent out a YouTube webinar video for Stephen Satterfield that you may know from a Netflix series called High on the Hog. He now has a magazine and a media company called Whetstone that really celebrates diversity through food. And we all like to eat, so that was a really great webinar that she gave, and I'll be attending a diversity in the workplace training this week that is also a webinar, but offered through a leadership institute that I attended earlier in the year, so that will be helpful. And then finally, I wanted to bring, because I was able to accept and take it home. I don't know what to do with it, but I wanted to bring it to our meeting because at what month are we in? June. The first meeting in June for our city council, they did do proclamations for both LGBTQ, or for Pride Month, as well as for Juneteenth. And so there was a representative there from, I think it was the Los Angeles, I'm sorry,
the San Gabriel Valley
LGBTQ center. So it was the organization that we were trying to reach. So they are still out there. And we will reach out to them again for next year, but there was a representative there, and that person was able to accept that proclamation, and I was at the meeting, and I was able to accept the Juneteenth Proclamation on behalf of the HERE Commission. So just wanted to show it, and you're welcome to read it, and the city also has it available if you'd like to read, so I really appreciate them doing that for the second year this year. And that is all that I have. In terms of staff comments, staff members now have the opportunity to address the commission and public on matters of general information and or concern. Are there any staff comments?
Just one, which is the one that's already kind of been mentioned, which is the Kids Day and 4th of July event. So it starts off with the parade in the Mission District. So right by Mission Elementary is where the parade kind of gets queued up, goes down Mission Drive, makes a right on Broadway, and then lands out at Smith Park. So about 9:30 is when the kickoff ceremony takes place, and then the rest of the festivities follow. So there'll be community booths there, food trucks. We'll have a magician there as part of the Kids Day festivities, storytelling.
There's usually hot dogs and like little picnic food. I think, were they doing that this year?
It has in the past been hot dogs, but just out of an abundance of caution, we weren't really sure where we would be at this point in time, so we swapped that out for the food trucks.
Okay.
We will have the watermelon eating contest and the water balloon tosses that we've had in the past. There'll still be opportunities for places to sit and kind of enjoy the day as well if you don't want to kind of be going around to each booth. But each booth has been asked to have either giveaway items and or a game to engage the community. So it's not just kind of walking around to the booth. So it's actually similar to what Commissioner Brenha has mentioned for the Mental Health Expo. So if you'd like to come out and visit the parade, or if you're still looking to enter the parade, you're welcome to submit the entry probably no later than tomorrow. I think I can squeeze that in. But otherwise, it should be a great event, and we hope to see you out there.
Thank you.
Is it for kids of all ages?
It is for kids of all ages. It is advertised as a Kids' Day celebration, but anyone, big or small, can enjoy the event. I think you'll enjoy some of the booths that are there. Hopefully you can enjoy some of the food trucks that are there as well.
And thank you, Chair, and members of the Commission. I do have one item for your information. In the wake of the killing of George Floyd a couple of years ago, and particularly in the civil unrest that followed, as you all know, the particular importance of our police departments was under a microscope. And one of the bills that came out of the state as a result of that was AB 481. And what AB 481 requires is that every city in the state of California who uses either military type equipment or actual military surplus equipment in their police departments has to adopt a plan for using those and for how that information is conveyed to the public. And so our city is complying with that, and we will be having a report on our city council meeting, next council meeting. So it'll be actually July the 19th, and I'm telling you now because it's ahead. We won't be meeting between now and that next meeting. And just to talk to you about what kind of equipment that is, some departments do use actual surplus military equipment like the Humvees and the big trucks and personnel carriers. We don't have anything like that in our small city. But what it also does cover is some of the things like the guns that shoot beanbags or less than lethal weapons, which we do have in case of a need to use those types of weapons. So we do have on our report those kinds of equipment that we have. But another reason why I wanted to let all of you know is because those reports are required to go on our website for the public to see, and they're something we do on an annual basis. But in an abundance of transparency, and because of how this commission was formed, we put a requirement in our policy that it come to the HERE Commission on an annual basis so that you all have an opportunity to see what those pieces of equipment are that we've acquired in the past year and how those would be used and why they would be used. So I didn't want you all to be caught off guard that your name is being used in vain in one of our staff reports before you all have that benefit of knowledge. That will be going to the public a couple of weeks before July 19th. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask myself or Chief Harris or Matthew. Or you can also obviously put in a public comment during the city council meeting, as I know you all are aware of being able to do. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager Lazaretto. Any other staff comments? Good. Well, thank you. So the next regular HERE Commission meeting will be held on Tuesday, July 26th at 6:30 p.m. Information regarding matters to be considered at each meeting will be available on the Friday before the HERE Commission meeting on the city's website at www.sangabrielcity.com. This regular meeting is now adjourned at 8:05.